So I graduated from the College of Charleston with a BS in Computer Information Systems and a minor in Data Science all the way back in May 2022. After a month, I packed up my entire life in South Carolina and moved to Houston, Texas. After 2 weeks, I started my first full-time job straight out of college as an IT consultant. It's now been 7 months working full-time as an IT consultant, and here's exactly how I got here. Now let me just preface this video by saying I'm not a prodigy coder that was making compilers in the womb. Long story short, I changed my career path from being a physical therapist and I changed my major from exercise science to CIS my sophomore year of college. Why and how I did this is outside of the scope of this meeting. So let's put this in the parking lot and I can circle back to it in a follow-up meeting with you. Now let's move back 3.5 years ago to my sophomore year of college where my programming journey started. So my sophomore year, I had a weird thing going on with my hair, trying YouTube out for the first time. I took my very first coding class, which was web design, where I learned HTML and CSS. During this time, I was already practicing presenting myself and talking about my albeit limited skill set and experiences, and I was already attending career fairs and networking events, trying to talk to potential employers looking for potential internships. Now that semester, I did not get any internships or any callbacks from employers. In fact, it was just rejection email after rejection email after rejection email, which was very disheartening to say the least. But from swallowing my pride and going to these career fairs and networking events, even with a resume of my only skills being half a semester of HTML and CSS, I learned how to practice marketing myself and creating a spiel of who I am, and from talking to employers, I learned from them what kind of skills and traits they look for in potential new employees. At that time in fall 2019, the two big ones I remember were Python and JavaScript. And so, in my second semester of my sophomore year of college, I took Python and JavaScript, which were also conveniently required classes for my major. Now I had a few interviews for part-time jobs and internships in the tech space, but I did not get any of them again. This webmaster/web developer position required knowledge of a content management system or a CMS like WordPress, and a software developer internship was requiring knowledge of Java, another object-oriented programming language like Python, which I did not take until the fall of my junior year. And then there's this IT help desk position, which was canceled due to the bid. Now it wasn't just these skills I was lacking like WordPress and Java. I also lacked the skill of storytelling to convince these places to hire me, even though I didn't have the exact skills they were looking for yet. And so with the lessons that I've learned from my sophomore year of college, let's move on to my junior year of college. So in my junior year of college, I unfortunately still had that weird thing with my hair going on. But most importantly, I was a part of this startup accelerator program called Impact X at the College of Charleston. I took 2 classes which were also business electives for my major. One was on entrepreneurship and innovation technology, where I learned about current technology trends like AI/ML, cloud computing, and most importantly, APIs or application programming interfaces. Now I don't want this video to be overly technical, but just know that every application you use on a daily basis is running on at least 10 different APIs at once, and knowledge of APIs is useful in any tech position. Now, in the interview process, employers will ask you about times where you solved a problem, how you solved it, and the outcome, and also times when you taught yourself how to do something. And so during my time in the Impact X program, I was put in a group of 3 people, me the programmer, 1 business major, and 1 art major, and we were tasked with creating a technological solution to a problem while also addressing one of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. Now I'm not going to say exactly what we did because that idea is near and dear to me, but this solution was very data intensive. Even though I learned the general gist about APIs in my innovation tech class, it was not a coding class. So common things with APIs like parsing JSON responses, formatting API calls, and debugging your code when the API responds with error codes like the infamous 404. All of these things I taught myself over the course of the semester on top of my other classes, staying up till 3 or 4 in the morning at times when I would get in the zone and be wired in with my coding.
It should be. I'm Sean Parker.
Oh, he's wired in.
That's what I'm talking about.
What was the outcome of teaching myself how to code and work with APIs and JavaScript? At the end of the semester on demo day, my group was the only group with a functioning web application that a user can interact with, send data or queries to an external API, and have its API respond back to the application exactly with what the user asked for. And because we were the only group with a working application, we won first place. Remember that skill of storytelling from earlier? This is it. This is the one biggest experience in my 4 years of college where I was tasked with a real world problem, taught myself something to solve that problem, and then had a positive outcome from that. You will not get real world problems in your computer science classes. Taking on your own personal projects and applying real world technology will spice up your resume much more than any assignments that you get from your coding classes ever will. So why is the ability to teach yourself so important? For one thing, employers want to see if you can handle being independent and take your learning into your own hands, especially in a place like tech where the answers aren't always cut and dry and you need to be able to critically think on how to solve a problem. Now, everyone goes into some kind of training when they start at a company, and while you're being trained, the company is spending money on you by paying you your salary, but currently you're not making any money for the company since you're being trained. So by effectively communicating that you learn easily and can teach yourself very easily, the company knows they won't have to hold your hand through everything and that you can quickly start making money for them after you're done training. So now let's see how this played out in all my job interviews after. Later on in my spring semester of my junior year came another job fair. My biggest advice with applying to jobs as a college student with no experience is to apply with companies you meet face to face at a job fair at your school. Because one, these companies have a working relationship with your school, and two, these companies want to hire and recruit students from your school. I know that everyone wants to go into Google or Facebook and live those simplified TikToks of software engineers making 300 grand and taking naps in nap pods during the day. But if Google is not actively recruiting from your school, I'm not saying it's gonna be impossible, but it will be a lot harder to stand out through just an online application with no face-to-face contact or a referral from a recruiter. So the company that I work for now, they have a working relationship with my school and they hire a ton of graduates from my school every year. And I interview with them for this week-long hackathon type program at the end of the summer. It was a lot like my experience with Impact X at CFC, but instead condensed into a week. If you complete this program, you get a job offer to return after you graduate, and that's how I got my first and only job offer. I got the official offer letter with all the details a few weeks after my senior year started, and I accepted it because it was the school year again and I didn't feel like taking time out of my studies to keep searching for jobs and going through interviews again, and also had senioritis. The question of a time you taught yourself something is pretty universal. I was asked this again in 2 more interviews. My spring semester of my senior year, I became a Tableau developer for my school's Office of Admissions. Now, Tableau is a data visualization software used by many organizations. Now, I had no prior experience with Tableau, but again, I used my Impact X story and that's how I got the job. And I also negotiated a higher hourly rate than the job listing posted, and I was able to quit my food service job that I was making $9.50 an hour in. And guess what? Again, I taught myself how to use Tableau on the job. My first project for my first full-time job, I didn't have the exact skill set word for word that the client was looking for. But again, I talked about the time I taught myself how to use APIs and also how to use Tableau, and that's how I landed my first consulting project. If you have any questions about career advice or school advice, coding advice, programming advice, anything of that nature, please leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to help you out and answer any of your questions. And also leave a comment down below what you'd like to see next. I'd love to make another video like this, answering all of your tech-related, programming, coding-related, career-related questions. With that being said, thanks for watching, like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Wait a second. 2020 was 3 years ago. No way.